Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Comfy Chats with me, Alexandra Lentz. This is for my Journalism 221 class, and I'm here with Managing Editor of The Minaret, Mauricio Rich. Mauricio, how are you this morning?
Very good, thank you for the invitation. Very happy to be here.
You are very welcome. So you're Managing Editor of The Minaret. I'm the sports director for the school's radio station. But not only that, are we two students working in student media here at UT. You and I are actually really good friends, and we've, I think, since the first day of college, have talked about wanting to work in media. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about what you do for The Minaret, and here we go. So how did you become Managing Editor of The Minaret?
Well, my first day here at UT, we're talking about 3 years ago, I knew I wanted to be involved in the media here at UT, and then that was my first day. Then my second day I went and was trying to be involved. And I went to the meetings, which were Monday nights, and I started to meet the editors at that time, as I said, 3 years ago. And then over the time, I started writing for sports, some opinion pieces, but mostly sports, because that's my beat. And then last year, I saw that the application was open to become managing editor, and I was like, well, I feel like I've gained enough experience writing and getting to know all the editors and friends that I had there, because I was writing with a lot of my friends. We used to like combine our reporting and come up with stories, basketball and soccer stories. And I saw the application was available, and I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. If I don't get that, I might just apply to be a section editor. But well, I went to the interview, and people were very happy with everything that I proposed, and here I am. And it's been amazing. It's been a very demanding position, very, every day doing stuff and coming back and going again to the office and do this, but it's very rewarding at the end, so.
Yeah. So what are some of your duties as Managing Editor of The Minaret?
Well, one of the primary duties as managing editor is to manage all the administration. Everything that is paperwork, everything that I have to deal with UT, that's my job, because at the end of the day, the Minaret is an organization. So I have to pay the bills, I have to manage advertising, which I work with ad directors. I have to, as I said, pay bills, do paperwork, get permissions, get paperwork if we want to do something, do reimbursements for the staff, manage the staff. But that's just administration. Then for the paper, right, on the other side of the paper, it's more managing, okay, what are we going to publish this week? We have this article, assigned articles. Maybe if I want to do an article, I do it and I write it, and then I produce this. I can do some multimedia, work with the multimedia editor. It's a very, you can do a lot, but it mostly is just managing what to do. For this week, let's do this week. It's very demanding, as I said, but it's very rewarding at the end.
So then what's the difference between you and, say, the editor-in-chief position?
Well, the editor-in-chief does not touch the paperwork. That's me. That she doesn't have, she can do it, but she has other things to do. So I do everything that is paperwork, and then she does everything that it has to involve with final decisions.
Okay.
So let's say we are in layout, for example, and we have a question among the top editors, which we are 4, and then we would meet for like 5 minutes and be okay, what are we going to do? We have 10 minutes to do this, we have 30 minutes to plan what we're going to do, this is unexpected. And then the editor-in-chief, apart from having, as I said, the last word and managing absolutely everything in the paper, we'd have that role. Okay. We would be, the other 3 top editors would be like, okay, we can do this. We can suggest things, and she would have the last say. The last say, and she would also have to be responsible for everything that involves the Minaret outside of the office. Okay. That means, okay, if somebody wants to talk to the Minaret, she would show her face. Okay. That's the key difference. The managing editor and the editor-in-chief are the 2 most important positions, but as I said, we work together, but we also work independently. Gotcha. If I make my point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you think print journalism differs from, like, say, what we do with radio broadcasts?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I talked to one of my professors, and I told him to understand what's happening now, to understand the present, you need to know about the past. You need to understand the past. And what's the past of journalism? Newspapers. So then, because I want to do a broadcast career, I don't mind doing print because I've had enough experience to do it, and it's good. It's amazing that I can do both. But to do broadcast, you really need to understand print. You really need to understand the rules, what to do, what not to do. And then when you do broadcast, you have that background information. You know what I mean? Because as we know, right now you have the internet, you have newspapers, you have magazines, you have TV, you have radio. So they are all different, but what do they have in common is that all of their past was print. And that's why, because I want to do broadcast, and I do broadcast here. I do news packages, I do videos and stuff like that, multimedia content in general. And to do that, you really have to understand the past, and the past is print.
Yeah, to have that starting foundation.
Exactly, that's the word.
So, in your time as editor-in-chief, have you ever found managing editor? Sorry, excuse me. Have you ever found it difficult to publish a piece or to write a story? Like, I know you and I, when we were coming into UT, we were in a huge group chat, and one of the kids, Ricardo Vega, actually ended up passing away tragically in a car accident back in December. How did you manage to put aside your personal feelings to publish that story?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because I actually didn't write the story. I had to edit the story, and that's hard. And what I did was, you have to draw a line between work and life.
Yeah.
Work and friends. Work and love, for example. And in that case, it was so hard to draw that line, because he was somebody I knew since day one.
Yeah.
And then to have the responsibility to edit the story, to talk to the mom, to send those newspapers to his hometown in Nicaragua, that was tough. And we're talking about sending the newspaper, the copies. I had to call his best friend and be like, hey, I have the papers here. And that was so hard. It sounds simple, but it was so hard, because it's everything here it was in my head, and it's tough, but you have to draw the line. And as I said, it was really hard, to see the pictures in the cover, that the paper I work at, it's very hard.
So then, how do you guys deal with, like, say a subject or a source doesn't like what you print about them? How do you go about?
Well, they are professionals. So if you tell me, hey, can I interview you, right? Mm-hmm. Of course you would not say, hey, can I interview you? But if you go as a professional approach and you send out an email on this, you are agreeing to speak.
Okay.
And we are asking the source for permission to record the interview. So we're going to be this might go, we might quote you for this, we might use your statements for the story. So at the end of the day, if we publish the story and they say, oh, I don't like what you wrote, it's like, listen, you never told me not to publish that.
Yeah, that's on you.
You agreed to speak. And if we are not doing anything misleading, we don't have a problem.
Right.
It's the person that has to understand that they agreed to speak. Now, if we mess it up, right?
Then you would print a retraction.
Yeah, or an editor's notes
on
the second page on table of contents say we apologize, because at the end of the day we're all humans.
Right.
But a source cannot get angry like that, because they are agreeing to speak, and most of them are professors. We're talking about they are PhD. They are, oh my God, they have so much years of experience, so they have to agree and they have to understand what we are doing.
Right. So I know the last two questions were a little deep and personal, so I'm going to end with one unhappy note. What's the best part about your job?
Well, apart from having friends in the organization, having a lot of responsibilities, I really like to be like that, to have a lot of things to do, because then what is life without work?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's no meaning. It's very, as I said, very stressful, very demanding, but at the end, it's going to be rewarding. And when you see that job title on your resume, it's like, wow, I was able to do that, and I'm able to do more. Because for me, that's not the limit. Don't tell me the sky's the limit when there are footprints on the moon.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's a great part of my job. And as I said, you deal with people, you have friends, I have to go to these super important meetings with super important people at UT, and I have the privilege to voice my opinion on something. It gives you a lot of opportunities to do something being managing editor.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Comfy Chats. Yeah.